You just came back from the most tiring day of your life. You spent the whole day going from one lecture to the next, and now you have to prepare for a presentation and not to mention the exam coming in 2 days. At this point, chugging down coffee isn't doing anything. Nothing is working. All you want to do is take a well-deserved nap. And you did. After missing all 3 of your alarms, you wake up at 3 a.m., realize that you don't have enough time to study for the presentation, the exam is coming out sooner than you think, and all you do is panic. In this episode of Study Diaries, we are going to talk about how to study even though you're extremely exhausted. Yep, girl, you heard that right. So, if this sounds interesting, keep watching till the end. First, before we even get into the tips, we have to first look at this in 2 perspectives. You only have actually 2 options here. It's either 1, maximize the time that you already have, and 2, increase your energy so that you can boost your productivity when you're actually studying. So now, starting with the first tip, which is to fix your body posture. Don't click off. I know it sounds weird. Like, what do you mean I have to fix my body posture? It's true. A study was done in San Francisco and they found that students who generally had a good posture performed well in their exams compared to those who had a poor posture. This is something known as embodied cognition, which basically means that the physical state of our body influences how we think, how we feel, and how we process information. I know, it sounds weird, but let's just take this example right now. If I was sitting here telling you all these tips and I was like slouching, how would it impact how you view this video? It will probably impact you negatively. Like you'd feel like, okay, I don't love her energy. It's the same thing. When you go to an exam and you're slouching and you're just done, you're just stressed out, what happens is that you don't feel your best as well. So what we want is to sit up straight, put your hair back, and look your best. So when you look your best, you feel your best, so your energy levels increase. And this will get you ready to move on to the next tip, which is to walk and study. So these sections of the tip were focusing on boosting your energy levels and how to increase your energy levels even when you're already tired. So now, walking, it's a game changer. Okay, walking is my best friend. Sometimes we think we have to sit down and study for everything, but actually you don't. You don't. Instead, walk. Walk. If you have to read something, read and walk. If you have to listen to lecture, walk and listen. You don't have to sit down on your desk and just put on your earphones listening to the lecture again and again while seated. Just walk. Bonus tips if you walk on a sunny day. I know it's too hot, I know, but you don't have to do this when it's blazing hot. In fact, science shows that walking under the sun increases the production of serotonin, which is a feel-good neurotransmitter, and it also decreases the production of melatonin, which is the hormone that causes us to feel tired, weak. This is actually what we want. As long as you're walking outside and you're getting some air, this will energize you and wake you up automatically. The next tip is to take a power nap. Yes, I know. This one is a little difficult and very, very hard for most of us, because when you want to take a nap, what happens is that you oversleep and you don't wake up. This is normal for most of us, but what we want is to try to take at least a 20 to 30 minute nap. I like to call this resting my eyes, because you're not actually sleeping, but you're just resting a little bit so that you can regain your energy again. So what we don't want is that you sleep more than 30 minutes and you end up feeling groggy and kind of like, that feeling when you kind of wake up like your brain is not functioning. We don't want that. You just have to sleep for 30 minutes max. If you think you can't do this, you've tried and it's not working, skip. The next tip is to drink coffee. Don't come at me. I know, don't come at me. I know that I say that coffee, it's not an alternative, but this is the last resort. Let's say you've tried everything in the list to increase your energy and it's not working. Last resort is coffee. It is. So before even you start drinking coffee, you must first understand how does coffee actually work. So what happens is that your brain will produce a chemical known as adenosine. Adenosine will bind to its receptors, causing you to feel tired, which is why you want to sleep, you want to rest. This is the normal process. But when you drink coffee, coffee will produce its own chemicals, and those chemicals will bind to the adenosine receptors, hence blocking the adenosine from binding, hence you don't feel tired anymore. So if this is confusing, basically what happens is that it blocks you from feeling tired. So what does this do to you in the long run? For a few hours, you'll feel energetic, and what happens is you get addicted to that feeling of feeling energetic the moment you drink your coffee. So when this happens, over time, your brain will produce even more adenosine because it thinks that there's not enough binding to make you feel tired. And when you drink coffee, now you will need twice the amount of coffee just to get the same effect. I hope that makes sense. So now this makes you so dependent on coffee, and the loop continues. Don't get me wrong, drink your coffee, but I would advise in moderation. That's why I put this as the last resort, when nothing else seems to be working. Now we are going to move on to the second part of the video, where we will talk about how to optimize your workflow. Basically, in this part, it's like you don't have enough time. We already established that. And you are tired, but you've already kind of increased your energy levels. And now it's time to get into the grind. Starting with the first tip, which is to do the easy things first. Contrary to what I always say into my videos, I would always advise to start with the hardest thing. Then it will boost you, give you enough motivation to continue down there. That is the eat the frog method. But when you are tired, you don't even want to hold your pencil. You don't even want to sit on your desk. This is the normal feeling. So what you're going to do is to do the easy things first. So whatever that's easy at the moment for you, you do that first. Whether it's just taking out your notebook and going through the topics that you have to study, or actually making a to-do list, compiling your subjects in one place, do the simplest things that you can tick off first. Once you're done with that, it will get you ready for the next part, which is to make it fun. When you're tired, the least that you can do is to do something boring. What will happen is that you will sleep. You'll fall asleep and you won't be able to continue. You will definitely dread it. So what you can do is to make it fun. So how do you make studying fun? I talk about this in depth in my other video on how to make anything you study fun. But briefly, you want to gamify your study sessions. You can do quizzes and you can do reward-based system, which is what I like to do. I would finish a specific task, then I will reward myself for it. This kind of like motivates me to keep going, and I feel like, okay, now off to the next hurdle. If that will work for you, do try that. You can also switch your study location, where instead of just being at your desk, you move to a library, a cafe, somewhere that will get your brain working, not just the same old desk again and again. Changing your environment actually makes it fun. It makes you feel like you're going on a little adventure, and then you kind of get into the momentum faster compared to when you're just sitting on your desk. Moving on to the next tip, which is to understand your priorities. So when you are on crunch for time, you do not have enough time to go through everything. You kind of have to prioritize. And for this part, I like to use the traffic light method. Basically, red being the things that you don't know, completely zero knowledge of, yellow being that you're kind of okay at, and green being that you're very good at. We want to start with the red ones. So after you've built the momentum and you've started kind of like having fun with the studying, it's time to prioritize. You do not have to study everything in your textbook. Contrary to what your teacher says, not everything will come out, okay? I remember when I was in high school, I'd always ask my teacher, okay, so what should we study? And she'd be like, okay, just study everything. And then in the end, only like some parts of the subject was in the exam. Like, okay, that's a different story, but not everything will be in your exam. Trust me, not everything will be in your exam. So you don't have to remember your whole textbook You don't have to go through the same thing again and again. What you have to do is prioritize all the reds, things that you are weak at, things that you're struggling, things you have no idea of, things that you cannot remember. So you can start by remembering definitions. You can start by going through examples, then doing practice questions for that until it's a little bit, it moves from red to at least a yellow, or even better, a green. But we always start with the red ones. Then only you move to the yellow ones, then to the green ones. When you're tired, the temptation to do things that is easy is very high. It is very high because you just want that kind of like dopamine boost that makes you feel like, okay, you've done something, you're studying, but actually you're not. So don't fall into the trap of doing the things you already know and you're kind of like happy because you're scoring everything and you think that you're prepared, only to be surprised in the exam. No, we are not doing that. Which leads us to the last point, which is to maintain your flow state. What is your flow state? So picture this. You are sitting in your desk and you started studying. The first 10-15 minutes, you're struggling. You can't focus. You're going through it. You can't really lock in. You're kind of a little bit distracted. But once you get over the 10-15 minutes of distraction, you're locked in. You're locked in. You're really grinding. You're really getting everything. You're really seated. You're really motivated. You're really focused. And then a notification pops out. And you check the notification and that ruins your flow state. Basically, the flow state is the time when you are really, really, really into your studying, where you're really getting, everything is clicking, you really understand that and you want to keep going. So you want to maintain that state of mind as long as possible. And something that normally will break that state is distraction. What you have to do is toss your phone. Toss it out. Yes, just keep it somewhere far from you. I'm telling you, the phone is the biggest distraction. Whatever our parents used to say, like, it is the damn phone. It is the phone. It is the phone. Take it out, lock it somewhere. Don't. The temptation is very high, but don't. Even better, if you feel like, you can't do this, record a timestamp. That's what I used to do all the time. I always do this. I would record a timestamp and then I would study and I just want to see how much I've been studying and how long I've been in that flow state. Of course, that doesn't mean that don't take a break. Take a break when you actually need a break, not because a notification popped out, because this will ruin your flow state. And then going back into that flow state, it takes more time, which you do not have. If you enjoyed this video, you might want to check out this video on the screen that talks about how to make studying more fun. With that said, dear viewers, I will see you there. Goodbye and take care.